To truly understand the profound weight of this philosophy, we must first look closely at the man who originally developed it. Viktor Frankl was a brilliant, highly successful psychiatrist living comfortably in Vienna during the 1930s. He had a thriving clinical medical practice and a beautiful, deeply loving family. In one devastating historical instant, his entire universe was violently and brutally taken away. He was forcefully captured by the rising Nazi regime and sent directly into the horrific, freezing nightmare of the Auschwitz concentration camp. He was entirely stripped of his respected professional identity, his personal belongings, his cherished wife, and his beloved parents. All of his loved ones tragically perished in the smoke of the camps. Frankl was left with absolutely nothing but his bare, starving physical body and the cold, fragile breath in his lungs. In that absolute abyss of raw human suffering, where basic physical survival was statistically nearly impossible, Frankl began to deeply observe his fellow suffering prisoners. He noticed a very strange, defining psychological phenomenon among the dying. The prisoners who survived the longest in the freezing mud were not necessarily the physically strongest or youngest men. They were certainly not the ones who had been the wealthiest or the most privileged in their past comfortable lives. The individuals who remarkably endured were explicitly those who still held a deeply cherished purpose for their unknown future. Some quietly survived because they desperately needed to see a hidden child again after the war. Some pushed forward because they had an unfinished, vital scientific manuscript they simply had to complete. Frankl acutely realized that human mental resilience is not fueled by basic physical calories alone. It is powerfully fueled by a stubborn, internal sense of defining meaning. He witnessed firsthand that when a human being is violently stripped of all external societal comforts and basic human dignities, the very last thing that ultimately sustains them is an unbreakable core of personal purpose. This brutal historical laboratory perfectly proved his psychiatric theories in the absolute most harrowing way imaginable. Within this unimaginable historical darkness forged his absolute most powerful philosophical conclusion. He famously wrote that everything can be mechanically taken from a man, but one ultimate, untouchable thing. That is the final human freedom, to choose one's own internal attitude in any given set of difficult circumstances. You may not be able to control the sudden external tragedies violently crash into your quiet daily life. You certainly cannot control sudden physical illness, unexpected global economic collapse, or the cruel, irrational actions of other people. The physical environment around you may become an inescapable, suffocating iron cage. However, between those harsh external stimuli and your own internal mental response, there always exists a small, incredibly quiet space. In that specific narrow space lies your ultimate power and your absolute human freedom. Frankl gently teaches us that we do not merely invent the meaning of our existence out of thin air. Rather, we actively detect it locally in the dark. Life is not a passive, serving entity that inherently owes us constant happiness and an easy, frictionless path. That is a deeply flawed, incredibly modern psychological illusion. Instead, life is a strict, demanding teacher constantly asking us very difficult questions. Every daily hardship, every hour of profound boredom, every painful personal loss is actually a direct question posed specifically to your soul. Life is sharply asking, how will you courageously and nobly respond to this specific challenge today? When we completely shift our daily perspective from asking what we greedily expect from life to asking what life actively expects from us, absolutely everything transforms. Enduring meaning is not found in desperately avoiding physical pain at all costs. True meaning is found in taking total personal responsibility for exactly how we bear our unavoidable suffering. As Frankl noted, quoting Nietzsche, "He who has a compelling why to live for can mentally endure almost any miserable how." This single profound realization deeply destroys the modern cultural plague of empty nihilistic despair. How do we actually apply this deeply profound realization to our mundane, often repetitive daily lives? We fortunately do not need to survive a literal concentration camp to actively practice Frankl's concept of logotherapy. We can easily begin tomorrow morning by simply and quietly reframing our daily, seemingly trivial tasks. When you are slowly washing the dirty dishes, commuting through heavy, frustrating traffic, or dealing with an unnecessarily difficult client, consciously stop complaining internally. Instead, mentally and deliberately reframe the entire situation. The stack of dirty dishes is not a cruel punishment. They are absolute physical evidence that you successfully provided a warm, nourishing meal for your family. The highly stressful commute is not fundamentally a tragic waste of your time. It is a quiet, valuable transition period where you can listen to soothing music and gather your scattered thoughts before serving your community at work. This mental shift is precisely what Frankl called the active will to meaning. It is the active, highly conscious extraction of enduring value from daily suffering. Start small by finding quiet, manageable pockets of meaning. Willingly volunteer your free time for a noble cause that is significantly larger than your own fragile ego. Deeply connect with the various people around you, not as useful networking assets, but as fragile, complex human souls who also quietly carry heavy, unseen burdens. When you finally take complete, radical responsibility for your own small corner of the world, a profound psychological shift gently occurs. You immediately stop being a passive, helpless victim of random external circumstances. You proudly become the active, deliberate author of your own psychological reality. Your heavy anxiety naturally begins to dissolve because your mental focus has shifted entirely outward toward service. As we gently bring our quiet time together to a close, I want you to deeply remember one vital, enduring truth. Heavy, lingering emptiness you currently feel is not a permanent, unbreakable curse. It is merely a vast, blank canvas patiently waiting for you to begin painting. Viktor Frankl miraculously survived the unimaginable, so that his powerful story could one day reach you, right here and right now. He definitively proved that no matter how suffocatingly dark the surrounding night becomes, the small, internal flame of human freedom can never be entirely extinguished by brute force. The ultimate, defining meaning of your human life is not a hidden, glowing treasure buried somewhere far away, waiting passively to be discovered by accident. It is something you actively, painstakingly forge with your own two hands, every single quiet day, through your daily choices and your heavy responsibilities. Do not passively wait for life to hand you a grand, cinematic purpose on a shining silver platter. Step confidently out into the quiet morning tomorrow, and actively choose to mean something to someone else. Thank you so much for walking this quiet intellectual path with us today at BookDream. If this sincere reflection successfully brought a small measure of peace to your heavy heart, please gently subscribe and let us quietly continue this journey together next week. Until we warmly meet again, may you deeply find your enduring why, and may you bravely and nobly endure your difficult hoe. Take very good care of your beautiful, resilient soul.